Hey, badasses. Welcome to this episode of the Badass Ladies Club. My name's Laurie, and I'm here with the one and only Jessica Weckerlin.
Hello.
And we are so excited to bring you today's episode about something that we are both crazy passionate about.
Yeah.
Which is inspired action. We're both heavy action takers, you know,
Yes.
and this whole idea of inspired action has been a game changer in our lives and our business and everything.
Amen.
Before we get into it, though, we are so excited to invite you guys to check out the 2022 manifestation celebration that we got coming up at the end of this month. It's really this cool opportunity to decide what it is that you will have in the year that's coming up. And what's so different about it is, you know, like New Year's resolutions are always like, whatever. To the point of our episode today, they are very action-based, you know, like I'm going to do this so I get that. And what Manifestation Celebration about is so much more about like embracing the feeling, the vibration of what you want now. Like you don't have to wait to get the thing to feel good. Mm-hmm. You'll actually get the thing a lot faster if you feel it right now. And so how do we surround ourselves with that vibration? How do we truly feel the way that we're going to feel when we receive all of this amazing stuff in 2022, but not wait? Let's feel it right now. Let's attract it. Let's bring it to us. And learning how to do that is, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like it's not easy. It's actually kind of tricky and takes some time. So we're going to teach these methods at the Manifestation Celebration and help you recalibrate your vibration and your energy so you can bring these things to you with ease. It doesn't have to be hard. You just have to focus and pay attention to the way that you feel.
Love it.
Get your tickets now. It's on www.badassladiesclub.com.
Yeah, it'll be a Zoom party.
Yeah.
We just decided last episode that it's going to be a pajama
party. Yeah. So get your pajamas on.
Get your pajamas on, your champagne flutes, no matter what's in the champagne flute.
I'm probably going to throw some sequins into the whole gig, you know, like fancy situation. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it'll be so great.
Come as you are, but get a little fancy if you need to. Get your fancy glassware and have a cocktail or a mocktail. It's all going to be so great.
Ready for it.
So let's talk about inspired action.
I love talking about inspired action versus forced action. Because for so much of my adult working career, not even working career, let's just be honest, my adult just being a human being life.
Nope.
Life has just been full of a bunch of like have-tos.
Lady, you have come so far. Just like, let's just talk about like the last 6 weeks.
Oh boy.
Like, how far have you come with this idea that you don't have to do anything?
It's so liberating and awesome. I'm here to tell you guys.
And that instead you get to take action on the things that inspire you and that you're on fire to pull off.
That I'm aligned with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operating out of alignment is the way.
I learned it from my best friend.
I hope you're talking about me.
I am, yes. I mean, I have a lot of great best friends,
Right.
but mostly I've been watching and learning from you because you're always like 10 steps ahead of me.
It's just the...
But I think that comes with, you know, age, experience, and, you know, we've discussed many times how we're in different points of our lives.
Right.
And
that I have a little more practice on some of this stuff than you do. But even aside from that, one thing I love so much about the programs and the offerings that we have to share with people is that you and I are so different.
Oh, yeah.
That we really embody this like wide spectrum of the way that people come to these understandings, because the principles and concepts that we're teaching and sharing with people are not new.
Right.
This is universal knowledge that has been around since before there were humans around, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just able to deliver it in a way that people feel seen and heard, because you do things your way and I do things my way, but we're doing the same thing, even though we're doing it in very different ways. And that it's all good, you know, like it works no matter how you do it. It's just important that you
do it.
Do it. So I guess let's start with when you're taking actions that are not inspired, because I feel like that's what most of us are familiar with, is this idea that I have to get up at this certain time in the morning because I have to get my kid ready for school, and I have to do the things that I need to do before I go to work, and I have to clean the house or do the laundry, or I have to. And that life becomes this list, this to-do list of shit that you don't want to do, but that you are forced to do just to survive, which is sometimes where we get into this range of like what it means to be in survival mode. You're just ticking off the boxes, doing the mind-numbing work that doesn't feel inspired and good to you. So what does that feel like when you're in that space?
Feels like hell.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's make it clear. As a mother, yes, obviously, like even as a human being, whether you have a child or not, yes, there are things you have to do to take care of yourself and the people around you. There are those non-negotiables. I can't just like make Adelaide fend for herself and drive herself to school. She's 5 years old.
Right.
So yes, there are things that I have to do. But if there are things that I can make room for that I don't have to do, that I previously thought I did have to do, then that makes the things I do have to do better. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And it's this idea that like, even if it's something that you have to do, okay, like you still have to stop and put gas in your car.
Right.
Like no matter if it's inspired action or not, like
Right.
that there are, like you said, these fundamental things that must be done, that your vibration, your attitude, your frequency around doing them is more elevated and happy and fulfilling and excited when you're not overrun with shit that you don't really have to do, but that for some reason you've got like this voice in your head telling you you're not a good person, you're not a good woman, you're not a good wife, you're not a good mother if you don't do these things for everybody all around you at all times at 100% efficiency. Thank you. Like,
Yeah.
that the pressure of all the things destroys the happiness in any of the things.
Yes.
And that inspired action allows you an opportunity to create some balance where this is concerned.
I just saw, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this, but I saw like a Twitter meme that was like, no longer are you going to CVS to buy medicine or whatever it is. It's, I'm going to the apothecary for, I don't know, witch's brews and, like basically just like putting a spin on it to
How
make
you look at it makes all the difference in the world.
That's really fun. And I'm like, ooh, that's like great inspired action.
It is.
Because who wants to go to CVS? I don't want to go to CVS, but I'd love to go to an apothecary.
But back to this original point, you can't do that if you are exhausted and overwhelmed and overrun with all the shit that you have to do. So one of the things that you and I have talked about several times is that little Jessica, I remember us having this conversation a lot where you would tell me something that you had to do. And in actuality, I could see from where I was standing that you didn't have to do that, right? And that we would have these conversations. And I'd be like, do you really have to? Like, you actually don't have to.
I was convinced if I didn't, like, the world would stop spinning and people would die.
Yeah.
That is like the amount of anxiety that I felt not doing those things.
But what's so fascinating about this conversation, though, is that even though I could see from where I was standing that was clearly not something you had to do, that your reality was a life or death situation if you didn't do that. And that is so true for so many of us.
So many people.
And that the only way that you get out of that is this idea that you are claiming what you need to do as a priority before what anybody else needs for you to do. And that all of us are on this journey to figure out ourselves, and that other people cast these cords or expectations or things onto you like you're responsible for them. And I got news, y'all. Unless you're talking about like a child that you are responsible for rearing and feeding and making a decent human, or you're talking about a loved one that you are caring for that is unable to care for themselves, you don't have to take care of anybody. Like,
you don't have to do shit.
Your job is to take care of yourself. And all of these people that are throwing all these heavy expectations on you, it is time for them to take care of them damn selves.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster that we get to this place that it is okay to have the boundaries and to put your own needs first, the easier it is to get into this place where you're like, okay, so am I inspired to take this action? If I'm not inspired to take this action, I wonder why not.
If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Oh my God, that changed my life when I learned that.
Same.
Let's dig into this for a minute. So what does that mean? If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no?
Well, our friend Eva taught me this little phrase, and it is in the notes on my phone that like I look at anytime I'm on the fence about something, that I just close my eyes, I tap in, I go to guidance, and I just try to figure out like on which side is the gauge falling.
Right.
Is this a fuck yes or is it a fuck no? Because if it's anywhere in the middle, it's probably a fuck no.
If it's like maybe I'll do that. Fuck no.
Right.
Like not a fuck yes. In that if everything in you isn't leaning towards the like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
And that gives you so much freedom to take out all of that like middle, wishy-washy, I should do it. Like if the answer is I should, the answer's no.
Right.
Should doesn't even come into the conversation.
Right.
Like, because when you're operating out of alignment, even things like, I don't know, like I am not a fan of housework. Like we have talked about this before, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
cleaning house and getting, like the busy work things of life done are not my favorite. And I'm a lot more excited to do those things when have this sense of balance where I'm not overrun with all of the have-tos and shoulds. And I think that that's really the first part of inspired action that I think is so important, is that if you are taking care of yourself, then you are inspired to take actions that feel good to you and that are going to produce better results in your life.
Yeah.
But if you're piled on with expectations, doing things for everybody else and not looking out for yourself, no action is inspired. Right. It's all stressful, labored action.
Yeah. And who wants to live that way? Which, by the way, what I would love to point out is that if you're taking care of yourself and you're operating out of alignment and you're taking inspired action, that anyone who looks at you and views that as selfish or what have you, as we've discussed in previous episodes, those are people benefiting from your lack of boundaries.
Yep.
But I feel that the more people who take care of themselves and operate out of inspired action inspire other people to do the same.
Yes.
And the more people we get on board with this, taking care of yourself, healing yourself first, taking inspired action, will, I feel like kind of filter out the noise coming from the other side.
It will change the world. Right. Like,
that anyone who has a problem with you taking care of yourself and taking inspired action is someone who isn't healed, who hasn't looked at their own shit.
Well, and by them like telling you that's wrong and impressing upon you that what you're doing is not right, then they have someone else to sit in misery with. And not take care of themselves. Like that it is always a reflection of what's going on with them.
And so I think inspired action inspires others to do the same.
Oh my gosh. So Red Fox always says this thing in yoga. I wish I could remember what part it is, but it doesn't matter. Where she says like shining your light allows others to shine as well, that you have that. So oftentimes we like dim our light, right? We don't shine too bright because we were taught somewhere in life that if you shine too bright, that's going to make others feel bad or make them feel less. Yeah. Like they'll feel less than if you're super bright. But in actuality, shining really bright just gives other people permission to shine as well, And it's so true. Like the better it gets, the better it gets. And a lot of these things that we've been taught that are just like old programming, old belief systems that aren't serving us, it's time to claim some of that stuff back, and like reevaluate what it is that we've been teaching humanity that has gotten us in this really weird place that we're in. So the other conversation about inspired action that I feel like has really changed the face of our business and definitely like my personal businesses as well is when you're taking action in a business respect, if you're taking action based out of fear, meaning we don't have enough money in the bank or we're not doing enough to launch fill in the blank, like that the actions that are taken out of that fearful place will never result in the outcome that you want. So you can't do anything for your business when you're afraid of where you are and or where you're going. And that when you take actions based out of that, even if they're productive actions, right? Mm-hmm. So like, even if it's making the phone call to the person that you need to make a call to. Even if it lights
a fire under your ass.
Right. Like that hustle or motivation to do something from a place of fear because things aren't going well will not result in the outcome you want. So when I'm feeling in a place of lack, okay, or I'm feeling like there's not enough money in the bank or that we don't have enough customers for whatever, or whatever it is, what I know is that means I'm out of alignment. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm in alignment, I wouldn't feel that way, right? And so when I recognize, these overwhelming feelings like there's not enough and we're not doing enough and we don't have enough, this doesn't mean I need to take action right now. Action from this place will not work. This means I need to get quiet. I need to check in with guidance. I need to go for a walk. I need to meditate for a minute. I need to get in the tub. I need to do something to change my vibration and my physical energy and get into alignment. And then when I'm in that place, ask to be guided. Mm-hmm. Ask to be shown a way to look at this differently. That clearly what I'm doing is not working, and I'm out of alignment right now. So I'm willing to see this differently. And then from that place of alignment, that is where the inspired action comes from. It's like it's delivered and downloaded to me every single time. And sometimes the action is no action. Sometimes the action is go out and do something fun and don't fucking worry about it for the rest of the day, but sometimes the action is like, maybe you try it this way, like sometimes it is actionable, but every time. Or
sometimes the action is the same answer as it was before.
Right.
It's just coming from a different place.
From a place of abundance and alignment and this.
So you may still have to make that phone call.
Right.
Right. But you're not. The vibration is different.
Totally different. Yeah. And then the outcome is different.
Right.
And sometimes we've talked about this like in our launch strategy when you and I plan ahead to like go live or whatever. And then something happens and one of us doesn't go live on the day or the time or the platform that we had planned on because it just was not, we just were not in alignment,
Right.
Like it wouldn't have resulted.
Literally happened yesterday.
Yeah. Like that it's better to not do it at all if it's just not working in alignment with what you're doing. So, and this is, we're talking about this in respect to business, but this is true of anything that you're trying to create. That inspired action only comes from this place of operating out of alignment. And if you're coming from this place of fear or lack or not enough, you're better off not to take any action at all and do what you need to do to get right with yourself and get into alignment.
Absolutely. Love that. The other thing that I want to talk about is which kind of goes along with what we're talking about. It's a good segue would be like the idea of hustle, 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 and action, 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 and how I feel like we're conditioned in today's society, particularly in America, where it's like, well, if you're not working, then what are you doing? You know, and like you said, sometimes the answer is just to rest or, you know, take a walk or whatever the situation is. That sometimes, like, I feel like that hustle, 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 go, 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 which I've lived that way for a really long time, is super toxic mentally.
Yeah.
And man, it's rough. It's really, really hard. But that also doesn't allow your, whatever the outcome is, to breathe. It doesn't allow it to grow. It doesn't allow it to shift. It doesn't allow it to evolve, because I feel like that hustle, hustle, go, go, like mentality is controlling and restrictive.
It also like sends this message that you're never enough.
Yeah.
So you have to hustle, because if you don't, then you're not going to hit whatever goal or, you know, like thing it is that you're reaching for. So you never feel like you're showing up as enough, that you have to try so hard. And to your point, like this idea of stepping into your greatness and knowing that you're enough and taking inspired action and allowing things to come to you feels so much easier than the like go, 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 run, run, run. Like that you could run 1,000,000 miles in the desert and never get to where you're going in that hustle mentality.
Yeah.
But on the flip, it's not like there's anything wrong with going hard when you are coming out of this inspired action, because we are both really good examples of like when we're lit up by what we're doing and we're on fire to get.
Oh my God. And we can't stop working.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel hustle like if you don't do it, that
the world's going to stop.
Yeah. Like that you feel really good about what you're putting out. It also like gauges your response to whatever comes, right? So if you put out an offer and like 2 people sign up for it and that's all that comes out of it, if you're coming at that from inspired action, you feel really good about the 2 people that you're there to serve. And you show up at 100% to serve those 2 people. And you're not like judging yourself that it was only 2 people. And you're not mad and bent that only 2 people showed up, you know? And the way you show up for that 2 people then turns into more opportunities and connection and abundance. Like you don't know how that's going to turn out. And I can speak from personal experience. Like sometimes it's the one person that I didn't even know that I was going to meet it connects me to people that are changing my life and my business in huge ways, you know, because I was able to show up for it in the right mindset, because I took the inspired action, you know? And again, it's not about the outcome. Your ego gets you all tied up in like what the outcome is, which is why you push so hard and hustle. But I would rather have the one great connection from the inspired action than a dozen people that I'm overly exhausted and not able to show up for because I drained all of my energy, you know, like forcing it and trying it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, I know you guys are probably tired of like the hairstylists, like, but that's all I know.
Bring it. Yeah.
That's all I know. But like when I went to Kansas City, you know, that was an investment I made on myself, with no one else's money but my own.
Right.
And, old Jessica, and I even said it a little bit like as I was doing it, like, this is too expensive. I can't afford to do this and blah, 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 blah. And I walked out of that inspired action, taking a chance on myself with what I feel is evolving into a life-changing, particularly one life-changing connection, but I think that it's going to develop into multiple. You know what I mean? Like
it already is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's already working in our favor that I did that. And that, because yeah, believe me, old Jessica, like baby Jessica, would have wanted to cancel that in a heartbeat.
Well, and then this idea that like that was definitely an inspired action from you. And you had to be willing to like trust yourself with the opportunity that was in front of you, you know, and be willing to step into it and show up at 100%. And that only comes from that place of inspired action.
Right.
Because to our point, if you were doing it because you were afraid of what was going to happen if you didn't do it and that you'd never get the opportunity again and that, you know, like all of those things, it wouldn't have had the same outcome. Yeah. It was the energy that you bring to the situation that allows it to manifest into something that grows into bigger and better opportunities.
Well, and the fact that like when I was there, I mean, we worked 12-hour days, barely sitting down, but because it came from a place of excitement, of happiness, of willingness, I would do it all over again.
100%.
I mean, there was one day where I didn't eat dinner till midnight because of the way things, long story, but the way things happened and fell and deliveries and small town Ubers and, you know, like a lot of things happened to where I couldn't eat. And I wasn't even worried about it. I just, you know, was like, I'm just happy to be here.
Right.
And I'm excited and made connections that are so great that I never would have ever imagined having before.
Yeah, it's, you know, the other thing that I think is cool about the topic that we're jamming on right now is this idea of like productivity. And this is true of what you do behind the chair, but this is true of so many people's careers, right? That like the way that you earn and make money in a traditional sense is that you have to be productive and that you have to hit the benchmarks and that you have to achieve the goals in order to increase your job security, your income, your bonus, whatever it is that you're reaching for, right? And that this is the way that I was always taught that you grow a business, right? Is that you achieve the benchmark, you achieve the goal, you turn more dollars and you get more from it, right? As opposed to the way that I'm working now, which is pretty much the antithesis of that, right? That it's not about my productivity. It is about what I am vibrating at, what my frequency is when I come into things, and that nothing about the traditional means of being productive or making money has to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It is not logical. There is no tangible physical way that you can put your finger on this is how Badass Ladies Club got to the size company that it is right now.
Oh, God.
What we have done in the last 3 months is not even reasonable. Like
It's not.
Does not make sense. But it doesn't make it any less true on the taxes.
Right.
You know, like that it is just as tangible as people that think that all of that shit has to line up. Like it doesn't have to line up. Your energy has to line up.
Yeah.
So I don't care how productive you are. If your vibration's off and your frequency's off, you're working really, 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 really hard to get the same result that I'm getting. Kicking back and taking care of myself and working on my vibration and taking inspired action that allows me 1,000,000 times the results that you're getting with your shitty vibration.
I'm so happy you're saying this because this is another part of inspired action that I love talking about. The fact that now I'm in this mindset of it's mine simply because I decided that it is.
That's all you need. Your decision is everything.
I just decided.
I've decided
that it's mine because I want it.
Right. And that's enough.
And that is enough.
Your wants are divine inspiration given to you. You're supposed to go after it. It does not have to be hard.
No. And that those things are delivered in so many ways. In ways that I can't even explain. They make no sense.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with it.
Give it to me. Yeah,
I'll
take it.
I'll take it. I mean, just last week, I manifested, I didn't even have the number in my head, but I manifested like a good chunk of cash that I need to purchase things for other business ventures.
Right.
And it's completely taken care of by the universe. And I'm like, holy shit, it's not even coming out of my own bank account.
Yeah.
Things are just happening.
And so if you had like sat down with a logical plan to figure out how many dollars you were going to have to save and cut out of your budget to earn the amount of money that you manifested in a week, you put all of these like ceilings on your ability to receive it, right? The universe will not override your power of decision, right? You opening up to allowing it to come to you and being willing to receive it is the biggest part of this inspired action and receiving conversation that we're having. And there are a million other examples. Everybody has them. It's not just us. Like, all people understand that miracles come to you when you let go and you're like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but God, universe, angels, whoever, like, help me now. Bring it to me. There is a divine system that's working that does not require our logical brains to understand it. But it does require that we turn off this logic enough to be willing to believe in it so it can come to you.
And that is the definition of faith.
Yeah. I got
Believing
faith.
in the unseen.
Totally.
And man, I don't remember the last time I had faith in anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm still a very logical, like, I guess science-based person, but I also allow and leave room for the freaking unexplained and the miracles and the shit that you're just like, I don't know how that's possible, but I just experienced it. I just saw it. I'm living it. This is the way it is.
And be truthful, science is just a collection of shit that we don't understand in the first place, that we're like just trying things out and have enough people that are like, yeah, you tried it enough that I'm willing to believe that it's proven, you know?
Right.
But it's still all this figurative stuff, you know? Like, nobody knows. And the faith is part of learning how to do life in a way where it can be easier. And I mean, faith is its own episode. Yes. If we're being honest, like, we need to add that to the plans for next year. But this idea of having unwavering faith that what you've decided you want is coming to you, and the how is not important, and that you're willing to be guided and you're willing to be led, is part of, I know for me, and like you said, in our logical brains, was really hard for me to get out of the way because I had so much ego wrapped up in how good I was at the doing and at the planning. Shit, you give me anything and I can plan around how we're going to make that happen, you know? But having faith means I have to let go of my ego and me being the one that figured it out. Like, I can't figure it out any better than the universe can pull it to me. And if I'm willing to be led and to be guided, then it delivers for me every time. This is what I love about the law of attraction. It is always true. It is law. It is like gravity. You cannot manipulate it. This is the way that it is. You can decide you don't want to believe it, and then guess what? You're right.
Yeah.
You know, like, I decide that it's the way everything is coming to me and happening, and I'm also right, you know? So which one of us is happier, more at ease, balanced, and has things working the way that they need them to? Like, it's just so much easier to roll with it instead of against it.
I like my way better.
I like my way better too. But you do you, okay? Like, if the forcing, pushing, working hard, being productive, overachieving thing is working for you, get it.
So let's talk about ways of dropping in.
Yeah, because you've got to drop in and tune in to this guidance system in order to receive the inspired action. And what's always resonated with me so much is this idea of like tuning a dial, like on a radio station. so you can hear what you actually want to hear, that it's kind of fuzzy on one side or the other, but you just get the dial in just that right place where it's really clear and it lands. That is what I feel like dropping in and tuning in is all about. And people do it in a lot of different ways.
It doesn't look like just one way.
No.
For sure.
That traditionally people think that you have to like sit in lotus with an incense stick burning in a quiet space and have, you know, like this deep, impactful cosmic experience, which is cool, you know, like if that's the way you do it. I wish I could remember. I think it was Glennon Doyle. Of course it was Glennon Doyle.
I mean, who else would it be?
When they were talking about
our queen.
Yeah, like meditating and dropping in with her wife, Abby, and her sister, that they were joking about like sometimes life is so busy with all the kids and all the things that the only time that they have to meditate is like sitting on the toilet.
Yes.
And like
that is a thing.
Yeah, if that's realistically the only few seconds that you have alone to yourself to drop in, then do that, you know?
Right.
And that there's no shame in meditating on the toilet. And I died. I was like, yes. So moral of that, do what works for you, you know? What's been working really well for me is walking and being outside. And I also like to swing on the porch swing, or even just like sit on the back porch. Looking at things organic in nature help me drop in. So here it's been fall, watching leaves fall, or even like the wind blowing the leaves and where the light like kind of shifts around like seeing that stuff. I like have this moment of, God, that's so beautiful. And like it's happening right in front of me. Like right now, I'm not watching it on TV or my phone. Like it is this miracle that is nature that's happened every year since I came onto this planet. And how is it that this is like one of the first times in my life that I've really been able to remember appreciating it at this level, and like appreciating nature, or like the patterns of the bark on a tree trunk.
Excuse me.
Or the veins in a leaf that I pick up off the ground, you know, like organically connecting to nature like that immediately drops me in. And I can get to this place of immense gratitude for the opportunity to be alive. And then I'm dropped in. And then the inspired actions start to flow.
I love being outside. I do not do well in any temperature under like 73 degrees.
Yes.
So
you're a native
that's
Texan.
Tricky this time of year. So I'm not outside a whole lot unless it's like in the middle of the day and sunny. But otherwise, yes, I do love being in nature and dropping in that way. I also, because I love my sleep so much. Like seriously, y'all, when given the choice of eating or sleeping, I'm probably going to choose to sleep.
I know this about you.
So my issue is in the mornings, I know exactly how much time I need to just get like enough sleep to where I can roll out of bed, get ready, and get going. That means no breakfast, no nothing, just like get ready and go on with the day, which when I do meditate or get grounded or drop in the mornings, I prefer it. I like it.
Yeah.
I think that mornings, like my advice is do it in the morning. But if you're a sleeper like me, I do it at night before I go to bed. And so I just kind of like reverse my thing. You know, I give myself a grounding cord and I just like run my energy, and that's how I go to sleep. Even if I don't complete the meditation, it's a better way for me to get into the flow and go to sleep with that vibration rather than sitting there with my mind running and, you know, having anxiety. And
it's so funny that you bring this up, only because like days that I don't meditate in the morning, which my preference is that I open my eyes and then I go into the yoga room and do it right away.
Yeah.
Because being kind of tired and not quite awake is a really great time for me to like drop in, because I'm not fully like present yet. But that doesn't always happen, you know, like sometimes I sleep in, I get up late, and that my morning routine has to happen. And then sometimes I'll do it at like 11 or 12, like I still do it usually before I leave the house.
Yeah.
But anytime that we have something important to do for Badass Ladies Club, like this morning, we had to come up into the studio and record 3 episodes. I knew that we were getting an early start already. We were recording earlier than normal. But that I can't be my best and be on if I'm not doing that. So what that meant today was that I got up at 5 a.m. I don't do that a lot anymore now that I don't have a job to go to in the mornings per se, but that the idea of sleeping until 6 and not having done that first, like that then I would get to this point where we were recording episodes and I just wasn't going to feel as on as I normally do, I understand that it's my opportunity to connect like that.
Yeah.
That's allowing me to not be able to record a good episode because I could probably do that without it. But all of the little things that happen throughout the day that would normally derail my energy or drain my energy or upset me or get me, ticked off or whatever, things just don't bother me in the way that they did. My perspective is better with everything. And so one of the really cool things about operating out of this sense of attunement and alignment with who you are is that it's not that the world doesn't still throw shit at you. It does. You just react to it a lot differently when you're operating out of alignment.
Oh, for sure.
And that things like us recording quality podcast episodes where I can be at my best and 110%, like it is not worth it to me to sleep for the extra 30 or 45 minutes. It feels too good to live life in this way that when the shit comes at me, I'm like, meh, okay, cool. Where if I didn't, I'd be like, motherfucking sons of bitch. Like, I mean, it just is such a different reaction.
I can't say for sure, but I think that maybe once life changes a little bit and I'm not...
When you can structure your life around what you need to do,
yes,
that allows those things to change. I'm not preaching that this is ever the way I've lived until I was able to manage my own time 100%.
I think that, yes, I think that once I get to a point where I'm in a little bit more control and that day is coming, that I could be a morning meditator,
Well, and this also fits around everything else that we're teaching right now. And this idea that your life should revolve around what makes you feel good and what it is that's going to allow you to operate out of alignment. And whatever it is in your life that's keeping you from doing that has got to change.
Yeah.
It has to. And that is not a popular opinion when we come out of this heavily productive society, and that you have to hit all the goals and the benchmarks, and that if you don't put in the time, that it is the opposite of the way that my life was structured until about 6 months ago.
It's wild.
It's so wild. It also is this massive opportunity to bend space and time when you are operating out of alignment and using inspired action as your guide. And I'm on fire with podcast episodes. Bending space and time needs to be a podcast episode.
I hope you're taking notes.
I'm not, but we have it on tape.
Been
we'll go back and watch
5 ideas. We're oh, that should be an episode.
Blowing my mind right now. The things that should take years take hours.
Yeah.
The opportunities, and not just me, you're doing it too, right? That we both, as a team and as a company, are creating opportunities for ourselves that should have taken years but are taking hours, and individually are creating things for our own ability to launch businesses and things that we're passionate about in hours and days that should take years.
Yeah.
Because we're operating out of this alignment. This way of doing life is working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
And any other method, you're wasting your energy and your time.
I literally cannot, I'm excited about the things that I'm doing, but I literally cannot wait till we can share all the things and that you can finally tell the story of literally an opportunity that came to your door. And I mean, y'all, when you hear this story, it's going to be like, I'm sorry, what happened? It's just freaking wild.
It's so cool. And it's like, I'm still kind of in shock that it's happening this smoothly and easily and with ease. And at the same time, I'm not, you know, like that it's only been an indicator of like how much faith I have in what it is that I'm saying I'm going to receive. And all I've been saying to myself nonstop in all of these meditations in the morning, but sometimes several times a day, because I get in that weird scarcity place and I'm like, no, Laurie, like this is not how we bring it to you. I've been saying this money for this opportunity is going to come to me easily. I'm not going to have to ask for it. I'm not going to have to beg for it. I'm not going to have to prove myself for it. It's going to come to me easily through the right means, by means where people know and understand my intrinsic value, and they cannot wait to join me in this venture moving forward. That it's such a great idea and it's such an amazing opportunity. The universe wants me to do this, you know, like it knows how to bring it to me in the easiest way possible. There is no reason to struggle. It's already mine. It's already done. And it's totally done, you know, even though it's not done. Like,
even though it's like not
already done.
On paper done. It's already done.
It's already finished. Like it lives in me on a spiritual level, which means it is happening on a physical level, because everything that happens in the physical world starts in the spiritual world. Mm-hmm. And that the only way you manifest it into creation is to believe in it like there's no other possibility in the realm. And what's so funny about like people losing their faith and deciding like, it didn't work. Like you're the one that just made it not work by saying it didn't work and by losing the faith that it was coming to you. It's so close to coming to you when you throw in the towel, you know, like that every time. And I can see examples of my life where I have done that to myself, where things were so close to happening and I just came off the gas. And sometimes it was because I was afraid. Sometimes it was because I was too stressed out and all of these other things, you know, like that this idea of operating out of that inspired place and having 100% faith that it's coming and then starting to see that shit come into physical manifestation, like it makes you feel powerful.
Yeah.
Because you are.
It's so cool.
It's so dumb. We talk about all the time that like all of these cliches are true.
I know. I hate it.
I hate it too.
I almost hate it. But then when it happens, it's like we look at each other and we're like,
you can be anything you want to be if you put your mind to it.
Like, easy. Like that was literally almost too easy.
And it's supposed to be easy.
Yes. That's another thing. It's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
Life doesn't have to be a struggle. Stop making it hard.
Well, and quit investing your energy in struggle.
Yes.
Quit focusing on things that make you feel like shit. Like quit talking and complaining all the time about things. Quit looking at the news.
Yeah.
Quit engaging yourself in things where people are making money off of your outrage. You know, like that nothing about that feels good. But you know what does feel good? Is running a multi-million-dollar business and being able to put my money into things that I want to support because it's good for the planet, and the antithesis of all that nasty, gross stuff, you know, like that you can only help grow the world and grow this collective consciousness of the planet from a position of power.
Hell yeah.
And so now that I can see that, it's a lot easier for me to not waste my time with all of that garbage and instead put all of my effort and energy into growing something positive and encouraging and powerful, because from that position of power, I'm going to have a huge impact on all of these injustices and shit that's not working in the world. But not because I'm down there playing.
Move over, Kim Kardashian. Yeah, right? We're about to get people out of jail. We're about to.
I'm going to like sponsor Kim on her mission to go and make the world a better place. Right. Like, I'm with you, Kim. Let's do this.
Guys.
Inspired action, y'all.
Inspired action. And if you want, please go onto www.badassladiesclub.com. Find out how you can book intuitive healing sessions with Laurie or myself, we're here to help support you through your journey and figure this out together.
We love you guys. You're doing such a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.